Now let me turn our attention to Derek Stevens. And Derek is a very charismatic guy, and he is probably the greatest. He's the king of publicity. I mean, he can come up with an idea and roll it out there and get so much free publicity from it. I mean, here he gave out the 1,000 tickets to Vegas after the pandemic. I remember when we had the Bitcoin. Bitcoin was nothing. Nobody even, what the hell is Bitcoin? And Derek's putting a Bitcoin ATM and accepting Bitcoin in the, and all it was over every financial news network in the world had Derek Stevens on because the casino was taking Bitcoin. I kind of refer to Derek when I'm talking to people as a modern day Jay Sarno. So tell me about Derek Stevens.
Well, you know, his story is interesting. It's a third generation manufacturing family. Again, they're really in the auto supply parts business. The company's called Cold Heading, and they make all the fasteners, the nuts and bolts that go on the tires for so many of the cars you drive, right? His grandfather on his mother's side started it, and then through his mother and his uncle, and then he became the CEO at age 26 of that company and really built it and really grew and expanded that company. And then in the 2007, 2008, we're going through the recession. He said, I need to diversify. So he's been a gambler since he was 21, flying out to Vegas, betting on football games, playing dice. And so he said, I need to diversify. And he happened to be out here, and I believe it was 2006, and he's driving around with a couple buddies of his, and they come downtown and they walk into a couple casinos, and he's looking at this Golden Gate Casino. They're inside of it, and he picks up the house phone, and he's trying to find a secretary or somebody to talk to, and picks up the house phone, and it rings right to the owner, Mark Brandenburg. And he says, geez, I'd like to talk to you about your property. He says, oh, come on up. I'll buzz you in. And they sit down and talk, and end up making a deal to buy 50% of the company. I mean, and it just went from there. It's really, Benny, Beverly Wiltshire, I think her name was when you were there, Mark's secretary. Nasto now, her last day was Friday, and we had a little ceremony for her. 23 years, she retired on Friday, and Derek gave the speech. He said, Beverly, you were off the day that I picked up the house phone, or I might not have got through to Mark. So that was part of the happenstance of how this whole story was. But yeah, and then it just went from there. I mean, the ideas he comes up with, I mean, he is the marketing director, that. I mean, he drives all this creativity. We're sitting there in the second week of lockdown, and he looked at us and said, we've got to get people flying. Vegas can't make it unless people feel safe to get back in the air. He says, what if I gave away a bunch of flights? What if I went around and picked cities and said, I'll pay for you to come to Vegas, and I don't even care if you stay at the D or Golden Gate? Well, he launched that idea. In the first 90 minutes, the 1,000 sold out. And then we bought another 1,000 in the afternoon and sold out of that in less time than the first group. It was incredible. And, less than 10% stayed at the D or Golden Gate. They stayed at the Bellagio, and they stayed at the stations, and they stayed at the Paris. And I mean, so it was just for the city. When he created this energy for the city upon reopening and the goodwill, I mean, you couldn't pay. What would be a price to pay to get that kind of, you couldn't put a dollar amount on it. Yeah. He's a genius, Benny. He's a genius.
Yeah, when it comes to marketing, he's a genius. I mean, the amount of millions of dollars worth of publicity he got out of the Bitcoin thing was just incredible. And you know what? The funny thing is, I was working at the Hard Rock when Derek bought the Golden Gate, and he came over and he was playing craps, and he says, "I just bought a casino." And what you think, yeah, okay, yeah. And I just bought the moon. Yeah, okay, but he did.